So what do if someone say we're all in Missouri, the three of us.
Mm-mm.
If we Kansas and Missouri.
We have the Kansas outcast.
But let's say someone in our high school. I've got a daughter that's still in high school, and so they want to start an S3DA club. What steps do they go through? Can you walk us through that a little bit, or?
Sure. It's really easy. We have our own certification program. It's called the Basic 3D Archery, and we have 10 pages in our book that is specifically to the NTS system. And we have and it breaks it down for recurve versus compound, and how to make a good shot so that our coaches and our kids get started out in the right way. We talk about the different equipment, and including a compound bow, and our sights and rest, and how to get a good center shot, and how to tie on D-loops and put on peeps, and we refer them to the local archery shop. And during our training, even though we give them some of this basic information, we do refer them to the local archery shop, because the local archery shop is going to be in integrity. It's super important for our program. But anyway, we need someone to go through the training. After they go through the training, they would become a member of our program. That includes $2 million of general aggregate liability insurance. And then your club would become a member of our program.
Okay.
If you need club insurance, we offer a great club insurance policy that is about 1/3 of what you can get insurance for a club from any other organization. But it does include the $2 million of protection for the facility and grounds. And then we have a student membership. And some people have questioned us about the student membership. The reason we did this is any high school athletic association in the country has each student to have their own health insurance policy. And it doesn't matter. When I was coaching high school softball back in the day, we had to pay it for our high school students. For every student that participates has to do that. And we wanted to make sure that when some of our states are ready to adopt our program through the High School Athletic Association, and that's going to happen really, really soon, and I can't tell you about which states it's going to be. We have 4 or 5 states that's actively working on that right now. And it's because of the college opportunities. This sport leads straight to college scholarships. And any sport that the kids compete at the high school level all has a direct tie to a college application, and they can continue the sport. So that makes us a really a good natural fit.
Right.
So anyway, you get the students have a health insurance policy. Each student has to pay a $15 membership. That membership includes $25,000 of first serve health insurance, that if something happens on the archery range or whatever. We have only had to use the policy once, and a student was actually shooting in flip-flops and ended up cutting his foot on the archery range and needed a couple of stitches. But, he shouldn't have been on range in flip-flops anyway, and thank goodness the insurance policy did cover it. And his parents were not out any money at all at the emergency room. So that worked out really good for us.
Good.
I'm really bad for him. But and then, and so we take care of the insurance, and you just sign up the kids. You connect with your state coordinator. We've got 36 state coordinators in the United States right now. Most of our states has regional coordinators. We are adding several different DNR Fish and Game are adding our program as part of the hunter education program. And we're working with the Kansas DNR, Aaron Kelly, right now. He's going to actually go through our training, and he's going to start working with us through his hunter education, Explore Bow Hunting program, and some of the other initiatives that he does in Kansas. But some of the DNR are extremely interested in this, because if our kids buy their hunting license, and if they are purchasing the bows that they need for our competitions, the state agencies gets the return on their investment through FEPs and hunting license sales. And that's an attractive selling package for us.
I'm assuming we could find our coordinators on the S3DA website. Is that correct? Or
that's definitely correct. And in your state in Missouri, it's Jared Knerd. And Jared is a professional archer, great kid, and he's already done a couple of trainings for us. And he's got so much interest going on in your state that it's amazing. He, the last time I had an email from him, he said, "This is cool. I'm really glad to be part of it." So, and then Aaron has taken it to a different level where he's going to actually teach all of the hunters. He's going through advanced training so he can teach all of the advanced, the hunter education, the he's going to be able to teach them so that they can go out in the field and teach the schools and the clubs.
Right.
And Aaron is going to be going through that class, I think, toward the end of June at the Metropolis, Illinois ASA tournament, so they can offer it this upcoming school year.
Okay. So they're going to be offering the certification class. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Jared is going to have some, he's going to be offering them in Missouri, and Aaron will be offering those in Kansas.
Gotcha.
And every state, if you go to our website, you'll find training that's coming up. And we usually there's a training just about every weekend somewhere in the United States. And then if you don't find one, it's a matter of contacting our national office at www.s3da.org or calling the number on our website. And we will either work with your state coordinator to get something set up, and if he or she can't, then we will send someone to do the training that would be specific for your location.
Very cool.
And I know that April Williams, one of the professional archery women, and she shoots for Team Elite.
Right.
She's doing a class at Chatfield, Minnesota. I think it's coming up at the end of May, and she's literally going to do this class at the Pope and Young Museum.
Oh, cool.
I think she's got like 25 people lined up. And I've been at the Pope and Young Museum once, and it was a phenomenal experience. If you've never been there, I would highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Tell us, okay, so drum roll, what are your numbers like today? Just 3 or 4 short years since you started this organization? Is it 4 or 5 years? I'm not sure.
Well, we actually started in February of 2013. That was our official rollout. But by that time, we had all of our insurance in place and everything was ready to go. And because some of our board members were insurance agents, we couldn't really roll it out without making sure that everything was covered. But right now we are in, and I'm going to say 36 states in the United States. I know we've got 5 states that are in various stages of training and maybe going through some training right now. And then we have roughly 6,000 students participating in the program. And you know, after being in the NASP program, it's hard to compare our program to NASP because NASP is an introduction, and it's set up to deal with massive numbers of students that are shooting that program. Ours has taken those kids to the next level, and they are using more advanced equipment, and it's different. So, but with that said, I'm extremely proud of where we're at right now. And if someone had told me 4 years ago we would have this many states, and we actually have 4 instructors trained in New Zealand, and we've got instructors waiting to be certified in Austria, Australia, London, Canada. I don't know if I said Australia. But anyway, it's just been phenomenal for the number of countries that's wanting this program right now, in addition to the states in the United States.
That's incredible.
And for someone that asked a few minutes ago, how can you bring this to your school? We have a tremendous number of schools that's doing this program as part of their vocational agriculture class or through FFA.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that.
Because most of your FFA classes have a wildlife management class, and then some of them are already doing some 3D. It's just not it's not organized. And the reason I can say that is a few of our state coordinators are FFA and vocational agriculture teachers in their respective states.
Right.
And they've really been pushing, trying to get this program to be adopted by FFA and some of the different organizations. And then another avenue is, because this is an after-school program, there's a program called the National After-School Alliance in the 21st Century Programs. And those programs can only allocate their money for after-school programming, and they cannot allocate any of the funds for any program that is based as an in-school program. And I've attended 3 national educational conferences, one in Dallas, Texas, one in Orlando, Florida, and Palm Springs, California. And our program is supported by and adopted by any of the schools that want to run this through their respective after-school programming and use the funds for their after-school program to do our program. And it's because of our conservation message. And something I didn't mention earlier, Chapter 11 in our coach's manual is 5.5 pages of conservation educational information that includes the North American model, basic conservation, fair chase, and ethical hunting. And that was written by Bob Delaney, Rick Mallory, and Dr. Dave Samuels. And Shane Mahoney, who is the best conservationist spokesperson in the country, in the world, he actually has been endorsing our program as well and helping us create some future curriculum. And there's no other bow 3D or target archery organization that has that many pages of bow hunting information and conservation in their training materials. And the reason we chose to do that, and the chapter is called S3DA Pope and Young's Clear Path Initiative to Bow Hunting. And when we found out so many of our kids were transitioning to bow hunting, they literally didn't have an earthly idea of what they were doing. We were trying to come up with some kind of mentoring program and some type of initiative that would at least give them some information. And we're providing every coach and every kid gets the DVD from Shane Mahoney that's called the North American Model, An Opportunity for All. And it's a beautiful documentary, and they get that. Our coaches get the book. It's called The Today Bow Hunter from the National Bow Hunter Education Foundation. And every kid in our program gets the National Bow Hunter Education Foundation book that is called the Today's 3-in-1 Responsibility Guide. And the book is pretty graphic on broadheads and shot placement and tree stand safety. And,
oh, that's cool.
And because our program is an after-school program, we don't have, the students can choose if they want to be part of this or not.
Right.
If it was an in-school program, then they would not have a choice. So those are some of the things that we can offer that some of the other programs might not be able to.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying there. So,
yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty interesting.
So what you've given us so much information, it's almost overwhelming. What we'll probably do, Jennie, too, when we air this podcast is we'll put up on our because we have a Facebook page, and I'll send you an invitation to it, but we can put a lot of information up about how to find S3DA's website and how to find your state coordinators and stuff like that, because yeah, you've done a fabulous job with this. I 6,000 kids. Are most of those going to the national ASA tournaments also?
No, if they did, I'm sure that Mike Terrell would.
Yeah, he would have a heart attack.
Well,
he'd be like,
the good
"What?"
news is his organization has grown by 35% or more in the last 8 years, and he has noted that a lot of the increase is coming from the kids programs,
right,
and from the women, and then the women are coming from our kids. Once they get involved, their mothers want to get involved, and now they're traveling as families, and we've got parents and grandparents and kids traveling together as a family unit in a van or whatever, and they're meeting and having picnics and camping out or whatever it takes so that they can have this family camaraderie. And in the Archery in the Schools program, the National Archery in the Schools program, our motto was that we were going to change lives, or we were changing lives one arrow at a time. In this program, we really are bringing families together, and that's something I'm extremely proud of because of my own family's history in the outdoors and in the sport of just hunting and fishing, being outdoors.
Right.
Jennie, sitting here listening to you, my head is absolutely spinning, and I think the two girls with me can see the wheels turning in my mind because I'm a teacher and I work a lot with military kids, and so my mind is totally racing all over the place about how maybe something like this could totally fit in with their lifestyle. And, they move frequently, and so sometimes they may not have the opportunity to participate in team sports because they never know when they're going to get uprooted and move somewhere else. Because of the military. And my mind is just going crazy right here. I'm loving all the information you're giving about this, and I don't know, I may be contacting you personally or contacting Jared to find out what we need to do. I'm actually messaging a guy that he's a civilian, but he works on a military installation not far from here, and he's like part of the natural resources on the military installation, and so I'm chatting back and forth with him about this as you speak. So this is great. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Oh, you're welcome. And something unique about what you just said is back in the early days of the NAS program, I actually trained some teachers people that worked with the youth service centers at Fort Campbell so that they could offer the NAS program there, and they were able to offer it as part of their after-school programming because that's the only time that they had access to those kids was in the after-school.
Right, and there is a youth center facility on this installation.
Is there?
So there's a school on the base, and there's a youth center. So, like I said, my mind is just going in 100 different directions on this.
Well, what made that unique is after I did the certification, and I went back the next year to certify even more people, but they couldn't do the NASP program because it was not an in-school program.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Okay.
But they were looking for an after-school initiative, and this program would fit perfect with the after-school initiative from the youth service centers and all military bases. And I met with a young man, and I can't remember his name right now, but I met with him in Vegas at the Archery World Archery Festival, and he was actually stationed in Italy. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me about and I think he was in the Air Force, but he said they also had a Marine base, Army, and Navy. And he said that each of those bases, they actually competed with, the kids participated with each other, and that archery would be something that the kids could do on those bases.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But he was telling me that he personally couldn't have a bow on an international base, but the kids could. Mm. And he has actually reached out to us a couple of times on getting certified so that he could help take it to some of the military bases overseas. But anyway, we made sure that this program is all-inclusive because that's what it's all about.
I do have a quick question about that. What if if you're running an organization or a club and you've got somebody who wants to participate, but they're struggling financially with resources to get equipment, or are there some avenues for some of those kids that, are financially okay? Tell us about that.
All right. Well, some of the things is we received a grant from the Easton Sports Development Foundation, and initially it was $10,000, and we went through that $10,000 in less than 2 weeks. I wouldn't say a week, but I think it may have been 8 or 9 days. And we've applied for another grant for them. We are hoping that we will be able to get this fall. And then there's other opportunities for funding. And when I was mentioning the after-school initiatives from the 21st Century and the National After-School Alliance, some of the local school systems will have received anywhere from $100,000 to $450,000 from these after-school programs. And after-school program money will enable it covers the expense of the equipment for the club, and it would also include and pay for teacher and or parent volunteers to help with the program. Mm-hmm. And it's not a vast amount of money, but it at least compensates for some of the time. And so we have a tremendous number of schools that's getting on board with that right now. And then what we found is our local archery shops and our archery clubs, once they hear about our program and they do a little bit of investigations, and we've got some great people to guide them to, when they hear how much money can come in their shop, and and even on the indoor leagues and just all the different things that they can offer, these guys are stepping up and helping the kids. And then we've got I don't know of an archery shop that's involved in our program that doesn't offer the kids at least a 10% off whenever they purchase something from the archery shop.
Right.
And there's just a lot of, I'm going to call it goodwill that's happening from the archery community and from our outdoor community with this program. But if you really look around, you're going to find some opportunities for the equipment. And then we have some specific fundraising options. We had a school out of, it's a club, an after-school club in Florida that raised over $6,000 just selling the Atomic Jersey, our shooter shirts. And they went out in the community and raised money for like the advertising space that you would see.
That is so cool.
Fishing shirts.
That's a creative idea.
One of the clubs had it on the front of it. It said Fred's IGA, and then on the back it was Fulton's Furniture, and they had the different. And then they were able to sell these shirts not only to the club actually gave the kids the shirt. And then they sold them to the parents and the people in the community, and people were wearing those shirts in support of the club. And they said they raised over $6,000, and that's a lot of money to raise just for one initiative.
That is for a club. I mean, yeah, you could even use that to assist with any equipment upgrades or shirts, even some travel for some of the clubs, I guess.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And then we have our own equipment ordering list where you can order discounted arrows, bows, releases,
really?
Basically any of the accessories through our program once you are a member of our program. And it's going to be, at a cost, and it's going to save you some money.
Okay.
And we do sell that just to the club and not to the individuals, but we have a lot of clubs that have purchased enough equipment that they would be able to take care of any of the students that doesn't have their own equipment.
Okay.
And what we've found is if a student shows up with a Genesis bow, because coming from the NAS program, they usually will have that bow anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks at the max. And then by that time, either the community, the club, or the parents have figured out a way to get that student their own bow.
Okay.
And,
so you've got some
Archery
coming
shop
in
are
with
really
the
helping.
Genesis then, before they get a traditional compound. Is that what you're saying?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. And at this event that I was at last weekend, there were 3 elementary kids that were shooting using a Genesis bow. And the one little girl that I was actually able to spend some time with, she said that she didn't know there was other bows out there.
Oh, my gosh.
She said she was looking at one, and she goes, I want one that I can kill a deer with. And this kid, she couldn't have been more than 8 years old. She's so little and cute. But anyway, it was kind of neat. And the kids are transitioning, but they can't transition unless they see it. And when they come to these events, you wait till you see the press release that's coming out from Fort Boonesboro. I think there were 158 kids holding their bows in the air, and there was everything from bear and browning and darting and just anything, TSC, G5 or Prime and Bowtech and
right.
Just elite, any bow company that's out there. And Three Rivers recurves and TSC recurves and Browning. It was just pretty amazing to see the plethora of equipment that the kids had out there. And that's what makes this fun.
Well, how can we help you spread the word? I mean, I know we're going to have a podcast going up, and I think we got at least 10 listeners, Jenny. Maybe a couple more than that.
We have a few hundred Facebook followers, so we can put stuff up on our Facebook page and our web page. What's the best way to advertise for you?
Well, we have a website where they can get a tremendous amount of information, and they can go to our Facebook page, and you'll be able to see, but the most important thing is just funnel them to the website, Facebook, and then at any point they can contact our office, and they're going to find that I've got an office staff, my office manager, and our our administrative assistant is going to be more than happy to talk to them, and they're young ladies that's excited about the program. And one of the young ladies is actually heading to California to Chula Vista for the Collegiate National Championship. It's going to be, they're leaving tomorrow.
Amazing.
And so I've been able to surround, even in our office, get some staff that is very familiar with the archery world. And our national director, Mike Lundeen, he is, I know he shoots semi-pro for Mackey's, and his wife, Erica, is on the pro staff for Mackey's.
Right.
Yeah, so we have, we've got a group of people in place that can actually handle this. And just the word of mouth and telling them just contact our office. And if you're in the central part of the United States, we probably already have a state coordinator in place for you.
Right.
And the area that we are working on right now is the western United States. And when I was at Reading last week, and the week before that, I was at Palm Springs for the Boost Conference. It's the best out-of-school time. It's one of those after-school initiatives. And we basically sold the program to Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Wyoming, Montana, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico.
Wow.
And it's only a matter of a few weeks before we have all of those states active. And then the next push that we're going to have is going to be in the Northeast because we still need, we got Connecticut and New Jersey, New York, but we need all of the others.
Wow.
So, and then we will have the United States.
I don't think you need our help. I think you're doing
you're doing fine on your own.
I think you're doing enough.
Well, the help that you can do is basically share it with your friends and families, because this is a great program for families, and it is bringing families together. But more importantly, these kids are able to participate in our sport for the rest of their lives, whether they want to do target archery or if they want to get involved in bow hunting, or maybe they want to do both. And then the college opportunities is just off the charts. And that's only going to get bigger because we've given our state coordinators information on how they can actually promote our program to the collegiate level. And we've already got a state coordinator in North Carolina that has gone to every college in North Carolina and said, we've got to get on board with this. We don't want all of our kids going to Kentucky, Indiana, Missouri, and Illinois.
Right.
And we have a select number of states that's offering college scholarships right now.
Right.
And so some of these other states are really putting a push on some of the colleges. So, and that's a large amount of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a big motivator. If you've got, some high, middle school, junior high, high school kids, the college opportunities. Plus, the nice thing about archery, we were interviewing someone recently, and we talked about, it's so different than, track or football or other sports where it requires a really like a strong physical physique. It's really a sport that
even an introvert can
do. Or if you're not like a super strong person or never been like super athletic, you don't need to have this real high level of athleticism per se. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. And then age is no barrier either. And I can give you a good story with the women's pro class. A couple of years ago, there was this young lady. She's 17 years old, winning a few tournaments here and there. And then there was another lady that was 63 years old, winning I think that year she won 2 or 3 tournaments. So here you have a 16-year-old and a 63-year-old all competing at the professional level,
right,
in the same class.
Right. That'll be me. So I'll be in my mid-60s before I win anything like that. That's good to know. There's still time left.
Hope.
Right. And for me, and just a plug for our sponsors, had it not been for Bear Archery stepping up, they stepped up the very first year as a phenomenal sponsor, as a title sponsor. And they've continued that level for 4 years. Huh. And had it not been for Jack Bowman at Bear, our program would not exist right now. I mean, I'm just telling you, financially, we would not have been able to be where we're at. And Jack said that the reason they're doing this is because everyone knows Fred Bear's legacy in our sport.
Right.
And he said Fred was always about the family, growing the sport, and not being all exclusive. They wanted to be inclusive. Mm-hmm. And one of the guiding things that they've always told us at Bear is they never wanted us to limit the equipment in any of our divisions. They wanted to be open for all manufacturers. Mm-hmm. And they've been just a phenomenal part of our program. And then when we got the Pope and Young to come on board, that was amazing because they brought in the bow hunting information that's been able to help us provide that. And then Cabela's, and the program is just, it's moving right now at a speed that's pretty, I'm not going to call it overwhelming, but it's at least at days challenging. It's going to be how I'm going to say it. And I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Great.
That's wonderful.
Well, we have taken quite a bit of your time tonight and have really soaked in all this information, and we're going to put some stuff up on our Facebook page. I'll try to send you, I think you and I are connected on Facebook, so I'll send you an invite to like our page too so you can see some of the stuff and share it too. But it has absolutely been a pleasure. I do have some, final questions for you. Well, I guess first of all, is there anything else you wanted to add or any final things about, your sponsors or where we kind of covered where to go and that kind of thing?
Yeah, anything that we didn't cover
we have,
that you want to address?
There's one thing that I failed to mention, and that is Lincoln Tapp. He does a program on the Outdoor Channel called Young Wild, and he's actually done some filming in North Carolina and Georgia already for his upcoming shows on the Outdoor Channel. Mm-hmm. And his filming crew and the Outdoor Channel is actually going to be at our national tournament, which is on June the 17th through the 19th.
Okay, cool.
In Metropolis, Illinois. And I would try to give you a handle on how many people I think will be there, but I really don't know. I don't know if it's going to be somewhere between 700 and 1,500. But I know that we're going to have a large representation from numerous states because we've already got 16 states that have students that have pre-registered.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a pretty big deal. And just the promotion of the promotion of our program and getting these folks from the Outdoor Channel to kind of look at our program, I think it's going to be pretty big for our organization. And the more folks like you and you ladies that promote our program to the people and just check out our program, go online and look at it. I think you're going to be impressed with what we are about, what we've already done, and where we're going. And I'm pretty excited about all facets of it.
I'm actually very impressed. And I actually sat in a couple of meetings and overheard you talking about some of the numbers, and it's just like, wow, this is incredible. It's just become such a big deal. One other final question for you, Jennie, and we kind of ask this with everybody that we talk to. If someone comes up to you and says, I'm looking to get into archery, I just started archery, what's your go-to piece of advice for any new archers coming into the sport?
Well, when I first got involved in '98, I was tremendously blessed to be working with 2 professional archers, Bill Stewart, he was the owner of the Tackle Spot, mm-hmm. and Ken Likens, who was shooting in the men's open pro class. And those guys gave me really, really good information that enabled me to go straight in the sport, and be successful right out of the gate. And it was because I had that knowledge base that they shared with me. And then in 99, I'll never forget it, December 23rd of 99, after I'd completed my first year in the pro class, and I had some second place finishes and a third, and I just didn't do as well as my sponsors thought I should have, and they advised me to get a coach. And I met with my coach, Curtis Beverly, that first time, and he told me that if I would listen to him and do what he says and, you know, and just use him as a mentor and stay focused in the goal ahead, that I would win my first world championship in the women's pro class. And I was kind of debating whether that was true or not, but I was all in because I wanted to do it really, really bad. And 8 months and 14 days later, I won my first world championship in the women's pro class.
Wow.
And when I'm talking to kids, everybody in archery, and it doesn't matter what level they are at, anyone that has a bow is really, everybody enjoys sharing our sport with others. And so it's real important that you find someone that you can trust and that you're going to listen to, and make sure you do the same thing time and time again, because this sport is like other ball sports. Even though it doesn't require the athleticism, it does require the repetition. And it requires you to kind of be familiar with your form and technique and how to replicate the shots. So that's my suggestion. That made a major difference for me, is just having good, solid people that understood. Mm-hmm. And you can find that most of the time with your archery shops or some of the people that's in your local community that are avid bow hunters or that go to competitions. And what I found is these people are willing to share, but a lot of times people don't ask them. Right. And then I'm going to give you the worst case scenario. If you happen to be the kind of person that asks every single person you see that's got a bow about something, you're going to end up with about 500 different answers for the same question. Mm-hmm. And that's why I tell my kids, that I'm working with, or I'm guiding in a direction. I said, you got to find somebody that you trust, you believe in, and you're going to be able to spend some time with working on your sport, and listen to them. And that's my number one.
Right. That's great advice. So basically find a good, coach or mentor and really stick with that person rather than get too. And I think that a lot of people run into that issue where they just get so much advice from so many. I know I have at times.
Mm-hmm. Overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, you get overwhelming advice, and then you're standing there at full draw, and you're like, I doubt everything I'm doing right at the moment. I don't even know.
Well, and I have seen some kids that have gone through like 2 or 3 different bows, and I don't even know how many releases and different arrows, because every person that they listen to is giving them something different.
Right.
There are a lot of adults out there that do the same thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Right.
I think I've done the same thing.
That was the first thing he told me. He, after we got my bow set up and everything was perfect, and I was making good shots. He said, "Now, no matter what, you're not going to make any changes unless you talk to me about it first." And I didn't change my setup for 3 years, and it was pretty
That's
cool.
great.
Awesome.
And you have no idea, And for the archery companies, it's important for them to promote and market their products. And they may not appreciate me saying that, but once you get something that's working, stick with it and just keep doing the same thing time after time. It's no different than shooting a free throw or swinging a softball bat.
Exactly.
Right.
Or throwing a football or anything else that you can think of. It requires repetition.
Right. That is such great advice. So, well, Jennie, I am super appreciative of all the information. It's been fantastic.
Same here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We will absolutely share everything on the Facebook page. And so the big event coming up June is the S3DA National Tournament?
It's the National Championship in Metropolis, Illinois at Lake State Park. It's Lake Merritt State Park. And we're expecting a fantastic event, to be honest with you. I'm really excited about it.
And if I'm correct, that's the weekend before the ASA event. Is that right? Or
that is correct. And the reason it's the weekend before is because if we had it in conjunction with the ASA tournament, Mike Terrell, the president and owner of ASA, he said that he would probably end up with 25 or 2,600 or maybe even 3,000 shooters.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to become a standalone event anyway. I mean, we've been doing that at our regional and state tournaments, and this year we're going to do it at a national tournament. So, and we're pretty excited about it.
That's great.
And thank you, ladies, and Bow Divas for everything that you do to promote our sport. There's a lot of ladies out there, and in our program, we're running about 43% of our participation is females.
Wow.
And that's a really good number for us.
They're little divas.
Little divas.
Right.
I love it.
You got it. Little divas.
All right. Well, Jenny, I really appreciate it. I know
Thank you
you're an
so
hour.
much.
You're an hour time difference. The information's been great. We'll definitely get some stuff put up there, and we'll send you a message when usually our podcasts air every Wednesday. So we've got I don't know exactly what the date is. It'll show up.
Right. Well, and we share with the Bow Dudes, so there might be a couple of weeks gap in there where they've got a podcast up, but we will be back.
Okay, sounds great. Look forward to hearing from you. And if any of you want any additional information, don't hesitate to email me or call me. That's my job, and I enjoy doing what I do.
Fantastic.
All right.
Awesome.
You have a great evening,
Thanks,
and thanks
Jenny.
so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 I am completely blown away by all of that. I mean, I was...
Yeah, it was a lot. Like, there was a lot of
Wow.
information.
Yeah. And it'll be good when I'm editing because I can go back and I get a chance to listen to all of it again.
Right.
But I mean, really, just my head is just rolling with stuff. And I was texting Kevin or messaging Kevin because I'm thinking, okay, he and I have kind of chatted about this, about getting something started out where we work anyway. And yeah,
Right.
I'm kind of excited about it.
I mean, the list of inspirational women in archery, she has got to be number one for me by far.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
I mean, just the amount of time she spent just to get kids involved in archery. I just love it. It gives
Oh, I
me
know.
goosebumps.
Yeah.
She's like she's an overachiever. Let's
Yeah.
face it.
But she's the perfect person for this. I mean, you can tell how passionate she is
Yeah.
about it, and she has a background working with kids to begin with, her own kids, plus being a teacher, and it just seems like everything has fallen into place that she is the chosen one to get this going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It seemed like it all stemmed from her and her son in the car. And him is so excited about archery,
Yes.
and her as a mother going, oh my gosh, I could bring this to so many more kids because he's finally feeling the acceptance from his peers, and he's got all this fun equipment, and it is super fun for these kids.
Oh yeah, when we went down last
the
weekend
thing last
and
weekend,
helped
Roaring
Chris
River.
with the, it was the kids fishing day for the trout fishing, but then Chris goes down and sets up his
targets,
archery stuff too, and so we went down there, and it was.
How many kids did you guys have?
Well, I think they
1,200 and
something like there was like 1,200 kids. They have to have the little tag with the number, so that's how many kids checked in
For the fishing tournament.
For the
fishing
fishing.
tournament,
So that's how many kids were there that day. Now, how many we actually worked with and saw, I don't know.
It seems like every single one of them, really, to be honest, when you're
yeah,
there.
because you go and you help them shoot, and then you take them over to the target that they can shoot for a prize, and you turn around, and there's a line
waiting.
and you're like, oh my gosh, it's never going to end. These
because
kids
some
are
of them
just
come back even.
Yeah.
So some are repeats. So you may have actually introduced more than that to the sport, and plus you've introduced their families, even though it's a kid fishing day.
Do they shoot Genesis bows or
no? Chris
he's
has
got-
a variety of bows. There is
really?
a Genesis bow there, but then there's some
PSCs, some long
some compounds, recurves, long bows. So there's a variety, and so it took a little bit to kind of figure out which one was going to fit with which kiddo, and some of them weren't quite strong enough, so you had to stand behind them and help them draw. And those were the little bitty ones, and those were my favorite because you'd help them shoot. And that they'd just turn around and they're right in your face because you're down there helping. And they would just look at you like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even describe it. Or they'd turn around and look at mom or dad or grandma or grandpa who's back there. And the look on their face was just the best part
Nobody's
of the whole
ever let
thing.
them, shoot something, or the empowerment they get from seeing what they pulled back and hitting the target.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I can't even describe it. Just the look on their face was just absolutely incredible and so gratifying to be able to help them do something like that and hopefully spark an interest that will lead to something later on.
Right.
Well, and I think those classes go down to elementary school, don't they, on the S3DA thing?
Yes, she said they had the speed limit.
Right.
It was 220, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
The elementary age.
So it's really great because you have this multi-prong approach. You've got NASP, which is in the schools. But there are after-school programs, and that's so funny because before I was aware of S3DA when I was working with the kids
at NASP
at my other school, that was one of the things that kind of kept coming to mind was,
okay, what do they do after this is done?
Right. Or I don't have enough bows for all of these kids. How do I accommodate all of that? What do I do? And there's not enough time to do it here. And so this program is, I think, absolutely perfect to meet that need.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, she was exciting.
She was pretty interesting. So.
Yeah, and you can tell she's just so passionate about it.
Right.
I know. I feel like we could let her talk for like 4 or 5 hours. We might have to have this in 5 or 6 different.
Yeah, we could. We could have a whole Jennie Richardson series on S3DA.
We may do that again.
We might.
Yeah.
We might have her back again.
But it's just so exciting to see that and to have people out there that are advocating for the kids in that area. It's,
right. And to see how far it's grown in such a short amount of time.
Right.
I mean, I know NAS took off for her, but this is her true passion, I think, here.
Mm-hmm. This ain't, and really, what'd she say, 2012 or 13 is when they got
13.
Yeah, this is only 2016,
guys.
Yeah.
And we're only 5 months in.
Right. And she's got tournaments, national tournaments with how many kids showing that?
She said she had over 6,000 participating in the S3.
Right,
but like at the national,
at the level, show up. I mean, I think she's gonna turn out 1,000 if she's adding 1,000. I mean, if Terrell's worried that there's going to be 2,500 or so or 3,000, she's got to have between 500 and 1,000.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and there will probably be that many.
Split the middle, 750. If you're getting 700 people show up at your very first ever national tournament, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, it is.
That's a pretty.
It's astounding. I mean, really, to get your mind wrapped around it, for me anyway, just because I've always looked at archery as it's a niche, it's a subculture, and in the big scheme of things, it's such a small amount of people that are in it, but then you hear about all of these kids coming in the hundreds or the thousands.
Thanks to a small little lady.
Yeah, it just stuns me that those kind of numbers are coming into it. But it's great at the same time.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing the numbers. I think
it's contributing to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I do think a lot of the reason the ASA tournaments have grown so big is because in part due to the S3DA. Because I didn't even think about that. And she brought up a good point. You get the kids involved, and then mom, who maybe didn't have any interest at all, she's, usually the former soccer mom is now the archery mom and hauling kids around everywhere. And I'm going to try that. It's probably drawing a lot of the additional women into it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a sport where you take your kid to. Well, why can't the parent pick up a bow and shoot right alongside them?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like soccer. The soccer mom sits there. She's not going to be able to play with these little 5-year-olds.
No, I know. But she can in archery.
But she can in archery. So all she's got to do is get the equipment. And she doesn't care how well she does. But as soon as she picks it up and shoots her first arrow, forget it. The madness is already embedded. I'm 100% with that because I have a small group of kids that I teach on Thursday nights, and I had a young lady come, and she was about middle school age, and her grandmother, which I believe is 87, 88, started coming with her, and I said, "Do you want to try one of these bows?" She absolutely loves archery. We took her to a 3D. She went up and down those hills like it was nothing.
At 87?
87. That is so cool.
Grandma Betty, if you're listening, how we doing?
That's so cool. I love that.
She takes her granddaughter camping in a tent. They go to these really cool circus style bed and breakfast. I mean, she's just a multifaceted lady, and I just love her. But I have not only the 87, I have 57 and a 67 that come to class too. And then a couple of the kids, their moms have started one to shoot. Their dads.
See, that's
never picked
what
up
it
a bow.
is.
Yeah,
that's bringing in some of the women.
Right.
If you get the kids, then the parents will come, the siblings will come.
Right.
Grandparents.
There can't just be one kid with a bow. They all have to have it.
I know, right? Anyway.
But it is such a good sport, and I started to say this earlier. Actually, a teacher at school recently was talking to me about archery, and I told her it was life-changing.
Yeah.
And she said, well, what do you mean? How can shooting a bow be life-changing? And I told her that my best friends, the people that I value the most in my life, are all in the archery community.
Right.
And I didn't have that before I started shooting a bow.
Oh.
So, and it's true.
Right.
I mean, all of my friends, or the majority of my friends, are archers.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, some are. The one over there snirking and snarking and
Is he off the friends
making
list?
a hind end of himself?
Let's start this again. Who invited you?
Right, exactly.
Who invited you to this party?
That's right. Get out. Shut up, Jim.
Make me a sandwich.
Go make us a sandwich. But the other thing is, too, the confidence that it instills in you. I think I've always been a fairly confident person anyway, but this has just taken it to a different level.
Right.
So those are a couple of the things that I tried to explain to her as far as how it changed my life, and for the better.
Right.
Yeah, that is a hard one to explain to people, how there's not many, most of the people we know are like kind of in it all the way. You're either sort of in it or you're not.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were kind of, I mean, we still are, because that's just part of our personalities, but we were kind of loners before we got into archery. We just kind of did our own thing, and, didn't have much of a social life as far as, hanging out with people or whatever. And then once we got into archery, that all changed. Our world opened up a whole lot more than it was.
I'd say that would be pretty close with Gemini, too. I mean.
And we played a lot of co-ed softball, so we had a lot of interaction with other people, but it's totally different. Archers are just a totally different breed of person.
Right.
People, however you say that. But,
right.
But I'm having a hard time expressing that or putting that into words. I'll have to think about it more.
Job,
but anyway, it just, for me personally, it's changed my life in those aspects. And I really feel like a kid that needs something like that in their life, archery would be the way to go.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I also like the fact, like we talked about and she talked about too, it's not, like to be in baseball, you have to run fast or be strong, or to be in wrestling, you have to be really athletic. And archery is something that still, while it requires a lot of skills, some kids just are not
naturally. You don't have to be the fastest runner or the highest jumper or whatever.
And some kids just have anxieties of being in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And not that you don't have to eventually get into some sort of group. I mean, you have to stay on the line. Our line spaces are sometimes pretty tight. But, I mean, for that kid that is unsure of himself, a lot of times I feel like some of the kids are worried about people watching them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, nobody's there to watch you, really. I mean, your parents might be, but they're going to be there for anything that you do. So for that kid that doesn't want to be watched, doesn't want to feel like they're put on some sort of pedestal or something like that, just that kid, and that's in lots of forms. I mean, that could be, the prettiest girl in school may have the biggest insecurities, comes to, an archery event and falls in love with it because it's empowering. She just needs that little boost of confidence. But
right. It gives them a place to excel as an individual. Yeah. I think is kind of how we were trying to phrase that you don't necessarily have to be part of a team, especially if you're uncomfortable with that. It gives you that opportunity, which that ties back into self-confidence. Right. If you're excelling as an individual, then that's going to raise your self-esteem,
we're getting
self-confidence.
all in depth.
We are.
We haven't even giggled once.
Deep thoughts by the Bow Divas.
Deep thoughts.
Well, girls, we are sitting at an hour and 38 minutes.
Oh my goodness!
So we probably want to think about wrapping this
up.
Oh,
you don't want to phone a friend?
I don't think so. Not tonight.
Oh my gosh!
But we will have to do that again because that was fun.
Well, hey, nobody invited you to this party now.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, we probably should be wrapping it up. Thank you for listening to Jennie Richardson. She's the executive director, and I can't even remember her official title. For the S3DA, most people that listen to us probably have heard of her before or ran into her before. She's been around a long time. Excellent organization. We'll put some links to their website up on our Facebook page right away, because I'm not 100% sure this podcast will be on before that state.
It'll be a few weeks probably before this comes out.
So we'll put that on, and I appreciate everybody showing up. And I think, and Annalisa actually took a potty break in the middle, so she
good. Yeah, so we can't do our regular.
She's not going to close us out with the gotta pee, but she does have some great information on where to find us.
Yeah, so our website is www.bowdivas.com. Our Facebook is Bow Divas Podcast. Twitter is BowDivas01. And our Instagram was just recently changed to @BowDivas Podcast instead of the BowDivas01. So that's some of the ways you can reach us. If you have any questions, if you'd like a question for Jeannie even.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you'd like, she would be more than happy, I'm sure, to give some more information. And we'll pass that on to you on one of our social media pages. So,
yep.
I think that's about it.
I think so. Well, thanks for listening to us tonight, and have a great rest of your summer, everyone.
Great rest of your Wednesday. I'm sure it's going to be on a Wednesday.
It'll be on a Wednesday.
That's it. That's right. Have a great Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, we said we were going to start saying good morning.
Good morning.
Because it comes out at 6 a.m. Central Time. All right. Well, anyway, we'll see ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I'm ready to get these off.
Yeah, my